We've got another big story from around the league. Saquon Barkley is the latest NFL running back that threatened to sit out the 2023 season if he doesn't get a long-term deal. He's basically following in Josh Jacobs' footsteps. Remember, Josh Jacobs was the first running back to basically say, I'll sit out the whole entire year if the Raiders don't give me a long-term deal. You know, what's big about this is Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs were two of the best running backs in the league this past year. So when they start to speak up, that's when you'll actually see change start to happen, because these guys carried the torch for the league. You know, Saquon Barkley basically put the team on his back and carried the Giants all the way to the playoffs. He made them a contender again this past year. Now he's basically saying, hey, I want to be able to capitalize on my value. I did everything I possibly could to make us relevant. Now I should be able to test the open market and get a big payday, or at least the Giants should give me a big payday because I've already done it for you guys. So he wants that 4 or 5 year deal. He wants the big payday. He wants some security by getting a long-term deal and getting some guaranteed money, which all the other positions basically get. I mean, the other position that was really disrespected was safeties. For whatever reason, running backs and safeties are starting to take a back seat when it comes to the market. They're not really being appreciated. They're being thrown to the wayside. And that's why we're seeing Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs really start to speak out and say, hey, we're demanding change. Something has to change because we're too good of players to be disrespected, to be haggled with, to have to fight for every single dollar when we should be appreciated because we're two of the best players. We're two superstars. Last year, we were two of the top performers in the league. Everybody knows that. So why are we being treated like we can't make more than $10 million? That's where Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs are going with this whole thing. They're basically fighting for the running backs' cause. They feel that if they don't speak up and be the guys, fighting from the front lines, that maybe they won't win this battle and the NFL owners won't appreciate running backs like they should. And that's why they're taking this stand. It's all about saying, hey, we're two of the best players out there. Don't forget about us. Don't forget about running backs because, like I said in a past episode, teams that establish the run win more often. That's just the truth. And without Saquon Barkley, who are the Giants? I know the Raiders won, 6 games last year? Who are the Raiders without Josh Jacobs? They're going to win 3 or 4 games without Josh Jacobs. If they want to add to that win total, get more than 6 wins, my gut tells me that Josh Jacobs has to be there. Then, we have the Chargers talk. The Chargers get another big-time receiver with Quentin Johnston. Quentin Johnston played at TCU. Johnston was a tall, athletic receiver that makes so many big plays. He joins Keenan Allen and Mike Williams in a wide receiver room that is absolutely loaded with talent. I mean, these guys are tall, they're athletic, they can jump and elevate above defenders and make acrobatic catches. That's Mike Williams and that's Quentin Johnston. Keenan Allen is the route runner who's going to be a technician and break you down with his routes over and over and over again, and there's nothing you can do because he gets in and out of his breaks so effectively. Then you have the tall guys, Mike Williams. He's going to run well, he's going to run down the sideline, and he's going to go above you and make the catch. Same thing with Quentin Johnston. He's going to be on the other side, he's going to run well, then he's going to go above you and make the catch. There's nothing you can do about that because you're outgunned because they're too tall and they're too athletic. So basically what happens is the defensive backs are caught jumping all game long. They're jumping up trying to tip a pass and get it out of the receiver's hands. And the quarterback, it's easy for Justin Herbert because he just throws it high every time and lets his tall receiver go get the football. I think the Chargers have really simplified the game for Justin Herbert because of how they drafted by going out and getting Quentin Johnston. They load up the receiver room, but they also allow them to play those high percentage passes by throwing the ball up above the receiver and above the defender and making it a jump ball situation, the 50-50 ball we call it in the National Football League, where both guys are battling it out, seeing who can make the catch. Well, when you have Mike Williams and Quentin Johnston, it becomes the 70-80, 70-30, 80-20 balls, because those guys are taking 70-80% of those jump ball situations, which is easy for Justin Herbert. Just put it up high. Just loft it up for your guy. Let him go make a play. Those guys are going to make those plays. Then I think you throw Keenan Allen in the slot and let him break people down in the slot, because that's his strength. That's what I would do if I was the Chargers coach. If I was Brandon Staley, I know he's more focused on the defense, but as a head coach, I'm telling my offensive coordinator, hey, put Mike Williams at the X on the left side of the field, put Quentin Johnston at the Z on the right side of the field, and then put Keenan Allen in the slot and let him break people down like Julian Edelman used to do for the Patriots. That's what I'm doing, just because you have your tall, athletic guys on the perimeter who are going to get one-on-one situations where you can just loft it up and beat the corners down with your physicality, having the taller player, having the guy that's more physical, because those guys, Mike Williams and Quentin Johnston, they're going to be more physical than a 6-foot cornerback. They're going to be more physical than a 5'11" cornerback because they're so big. I mean, when they walk in the room, you got two really tall receivers who are towering over these small defensive backs. I mean, what do you think's going to happen? Justin Herbert's going to go off this year. It's going to be probably his best year since he's been in the league, just because he's surrounded by talent. We all know his talent is off the charts as well. When you put all that together, I mean, it's a recipe for explosive plays and success. That's all it is. Explosive plays and success over and over and over, because there's just too much talent there not to be wildly successful. That's what the Chargers are going to be. They're going to be a team with a ton of acrobatic plays between Mike Williams and what he does. I mean, last year that guy was making some of the most athletic high points I've ever seen. We call it high pointing the football, when a wide receiver goes up and elevates as high as he can to make the catch. It's called high pointing the football. Mike Williams is better than just about anybody in the league at that. That's his strength. That's what he does well. He's a better high pointer than just about anybody. I think Quentin Johnston is capable of doing the same thing. So it's going to be exciting to watch this team go out there and just make plays all over the football field. Justin Herbert's going to be slinging it. The Chargers are going to be putting a lot of points on the board. I think when it comes to their passing attack, we're going to see them make more passes down the field than just about any other team. They're going plus 20 yards on so many plays next year. You watch. They're going to go over 20 yards on these passing plays so many times, just because they have the guys to go vertical and open it up. Because when you have two guys that are tall and that can run well, like Mike Williams and Quentin Johnston can, that tells you all you need to know. They're going to light it up. Justin Herbert's going to light it up. The Chargers are going to be playing on a different level when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. Who's going to stop them? This is an offense that's stacked. They are stacked. There's no other way to put it. I think keeping Keenan Allen was a smart move in hindsight, just to keep him in that wide receiver room, to mentor Quentin Johnston, to keep an eye on Mike Williams and just prepare Mike Williams to be the number one eventually. Then all Quentin Johnston needs to do is be the number two. All he has to do is step up and be that number two guy. Mike Williams can be the number one. And eventually Keenan Allen will be the guy out the door, because he's getting older and it's just his time. But until then, I like that they kept Keenan Allen, because he is still a good route runner. I think if he gets over his injuries and he heals up, he's going to be fine. He'll be back, at least back in action where he's out there contributing. I think he'll be a guy that will probably be around 600 yards and 6 touchdowns to 800 yards and 8 touchdowns. And guess what? That's all the Chargers need from him. He needs to mentor the young guys, Give him 600 yards, 6 touchdowns. Let Mike Williams step up and have a bigger role because we know he's primed and ready to go. Let Quentin Johnson come in here and take the league by storm as a rookie. He's looking at, it could be 1,000-yard season for him as a rookie. He could go for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns just because he is that guy that, at TCU just took over games and was, just making so many plays. It seemed like every time the ball came his way, he was coming through for the Horned Frogs. I think he can do the same thing as a rookie for the Chargers, and there's just big-time players at every single position, on the perimeter, in the slot. I like what Donald Parham, I think he is a big weapon too, just because he's so big. I remember watching him in one of those alternative leagues. It was either the XFL or the Alliance of American Football. One of those two leagues, Parham was in the league, and he was a big-time weapon just because he's so big. He's got that big frame. He's almost like a basketball player that can box you out and get a rebound. Because his body's so big in the end zone, he can box the defender out, then come down with the catch. And guess what? The Chargers have a lot of guys that can do that, whether it's Mike Williams, Quentin Johnson, Donald Parham. They're loaded. Keenan Allen's still there too. The route runner, who was the best route runner in the league earlier in his career. We all know that. So that's all I got for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm John Kuzma. I'm signing off.